Am I on? Okay, that was by accident. Well, look, I know it's a late night, but Dr. Pompa had a really long, hard day today because I'm leaving for New York tomorrow. So, but I wanted to get this one in because it's important. I think a lot of people need to hear this message. You know, I was on with several of my clients today, and I'll tell you, there was two remarkable stories that stood out. And one was hormone related, the other was more autoimmune related, and absolutely remarkable what they had to say about fasting and how it's transformed their life. Matter of fact, the one feared fasting and made the statement that they now love fasting. And I'm going to say this, not one fast will heal you necessarily, although I've seen that. But typically you get healthier with every fast. Okay, this is about extended fast because tomorrow I'm going to talk more about intermittent fasting, how to fast daily, or I should say, you know, in at least an 18-hour or 14 to maybe 24-hour window. So, or eat, I should say, in a 4 to 6 hour window. Either way, that's intermittent fasting. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Daily fasting. Before we get into that, block fasting, extended fasting, Simon, update them. This is day 5. You finished day 5. How you doing?
Yeah, so this is day 5, and yeah, it's my ketones are rising. Everything's kind of getting better. You stop craving food as much, and everything's kind of settling. It's getting easier. So since it's so easy, I'm going till next Monday, not this Monday, next Monday, and I'm stopping next Monday.
Which will make how long?
Eat.
Which will make how long?
14 days.
14 days. Okay, now I'm going to tell you that that's an example of what happens during fasting. The first 3 days, Mom described him as walking around the house moaning. Okay, so day 4, I was with him, and he was better. However, today he woke up, and you were way better.
Yeah, way better. Wasn't like about to faint as much as it was like the second or third day. Like I kind of got nauseous in the third day or second day. Really, it gets good the 4th day. So don't let anybody tell you it gets better at the 3rd day because it doesn't.
Yeah, I like that. That's hilarious. All right, Yasami, you're good, man. I'm going to keep updating. I'm not going to be with you tomorrow, but I'm going to update them about you tomorrow as well. So, and let us know what your ketones are. All right, man. Thank you, bro. All right. So, look, as far as this goes, I want to talk about the myths of fasting. So, it puts the body in starvation mode, deprives the body of nutrients, weight loss from muscle and water only. So not true. And causes hypoglycemia, yo-yo diet, overwhelmed with hunger. Well, look, if my 13-year-old who's addicted to carbohydrates can tell you that he's not hungry anymore, there goes that myth right off the top, right? You know, and then puts you the body in a starvation. Well, not at all. Matter of fact, the body goes into prevention. Starvation prevents it. It spares its muscle. So the second day, I measured Simon's ketones, and he was about 2.6. So he had plenty of ketones. Remember, to be in ketosis, go back and watch other videos. You have to be above 0.5. So blood-wise, he was in ketosis. However, his glucose was really low. If you remember, it was in the low 50s, but he wasn't feeling good. Here's why. He wasn't fat adapted yet. He wasn't using his fat for energy quite yet. He was burning it, making ketones, but his body wasn't able to use the ketones yet. Now, what happened today and partway through yesterday? All of a sudden, his body started using ketones, and he was up last night. He was all ready to go, because that's the adaptation that needs to take place. In ketosis, that takes 2 to 4 weeks before your body starts using ketones. And by the way, that's why you can't check your ketones in your urine, because in the beginning, the ketones are really high, and people go, look, I'm in ketosis in 2 days. No, your body's getting rid of them. Then all of a sudden, they go away because the body starts using them. Well, you know, what happens in fasting is Simon started using his ketones. Boom, that was it. You know, so then he started feeling amazing. So right now he has low glucose, high ketones. More importantly, he's using his ketones. He's adapted. So the body does that, and by the way, it prevents muscle loss. So you're not losing muscle. He's losing rapid amounts of fat. He's lost about 15 pounds already, and he even looks different. His eyes look different. So, what's happening now is his body is in a healing mode. Matter of fact, that eczema that was on his head, gone. The one that was on his chest, completely gone. I should have showed you that because I think I may have showed you the other day. But that's what happened. Now before that happened though, he broke out in some rashes, and that was for like a day, and then it went away. And today he's getting some mucus up out of his lungs. You can tell that's healing. And not to be graphic or gross, but camera guy and myself experienced what came out of his underwear. Well, it didn't come out of his underwear, it ended up in his underwear. But it was mucusy, and it just, his body's getting rid of stuff. So
he took a dump yesterday too.
Yeah, exactly, which is odd, right? Usually you don't, people, I get phone calls or emails, I'm constipated. Well, you're not eating, you're not constipated. But I always say, expect an odd bowel movement sometime, through the fast. All right, so, what are some of the concerns? Look, for someone who doesn't fast, if you have health conditions, do a supervised fast on a longer fast, and I say you at least have to fast for at least 4 days to get that benefit, for the reason why. Simon started getting healing benefits day 4, and that's why you want to go at least day 4. And because he turned over, he wanted to go longer. So many people decide to go longer after they set a short goal of 4 days. So always start off, that's a really good goal. If you have health challenges, do a supervised fast, okay? If you're healthy, you can probably do 4 days. Longer, you may want to get a supervised fast, and that's why I'm training doctors around the country. Fasting is a part of what we do, along with true cellular detox, along with a lot of these other ancient healing strategies that we do as well, and the cellular healing. That's what I call a multi-therapeutic approach. All right, so one of the keys, so the electrolytes are a concern. Possibly. Some people need a little bit of sea salt to make it through if they're feeling really weak. Most people don't. What can you do during a water fast? Just water. There are beef stock fasts, right? I told you that. 4 days of just beef stock. It's a little easier. I say that, I think it's easier the first 3 days, but after that, I think water fast becomes easier because you don't get sick of the broth, which happens in a broth fast. I know that. And also, you lose every bit of hunger on a water fast. So in some aspects, water fast is easier. Both have benefits. All the type 2 collagen and some nutrient benefits in the broth makes broth fasting really healthy. It starves down all bacteria. And then after a fast, whether it's water or broth, it's always very important to re-inoculate good bacteria. Watch the Funky Kitchen fermentation video I did a couple days ago, where I interviewed the queen of fermentation. She wrote the book, The Funky Kitchen, and get some fermentation ideas to break a fast. And camera guy, remind me to tell them how to break a fast, because okay. You blow the whole thing if you don't break it right. Okay, so the broth fast. There's another type of fast called whey water. Swear of Gold is, many of you watching this have done Swear of Gold fast. It's basically, whey water is not whey protein water. It comes off of the cheese making process. It's liquid gold. I mean, it literally is gold loaded with unique bacteria, and there's some lactose in it. This particular one called Swear of Gold comes from a beta A2 cow, which means there's less allergies. We talked about that in past videos too. But it's one of the ones that whey water fasts have been around all the way back in Hippocrates' days, and there's some healing benefits. Spoke to one of my clients who did a whey water fast today and absolutely loved it and said she felt amazing. Matter of fact, most of her pain in her joints actually went away. I think she did 4 or 5 days on that. So you might be watching, who told me that little testimony today. So water fasting, broth fasting, whey water fasting, in extended, I like to call them block fasts, at least 4 days, but many people go on. Go to my Cellular Healing TV and you will see a couple episodes on fasting. And I interviewed 2 different doctors. One went 20 some days, the other 30 days. So those are really long fasts, but they'll tell you they had all the energy in the world. You definitely don't need as much sleep. The one guy joked and said I was literally out painting the walls because he had so much energy. But that's after you cross over and adapt and use fat and the ketones for energy. Okay, so those are some basics on fasting, but I want to give you some reasons why to fast. And again, I know that this isn't the place necessary for studies, but multiple block fasts, meaning the fast multiple times, like 4-day fast every other month, 4-day fast. What, you can't see it?
Full screen it.
Full screen it. Full screen it right here. Didn't full screen it. Here, wait, plus. I'll go plus. I got it. No, there it is. Hey, I did it. How about that? I did it. Okay, so those who are struggling to control insulin and glucose, this is a reason to do multiple fasts, not just one. Not losing weight even in ketosis or the perfect diet, hormone dysregulation, low cellular energy, autoimmune, cancer. I talk about Thomas Seyfried a lot. So these are, and Oscar the dog, I'm not going to talk about today, but it's a neat story. All right, so those are reasons why to do multiple fasts. I thought this was an interesting study. So we'll focus in on it again. Did I just screw that up again? Oh, you can see it. Don't worry about it. This was just in a controlled study here, and this is day 1. And then what happened on day 1 versus day 5. And you can see during day 5, you had an increase in growth hormone. And this increase in growth hormone preserves muscle mass. So once again, there goes the fallacy that you lose muscle. But in this too, the cells became very sensitive to the hormones. Another benefit of fasting. All right, this one here, genetic switch turned on during fast to help inflammation. In this study, they showed how it fixes the gut. So another great study to look at. And this is a 27-year-old obese Scotsman who weighed 456 pounds, and he fasted for 382 days and lost 276 pounds. And all nutrition markers remained normal. Electrolytes even normalized and became stable without taking electrolytes or supplementing. Depression lifted. Neurotransmitters, those are chemicals your brain needs to function normal, and hormones all became normal in that time. Pretty amazing. I'm going to make it real simple for you. Here's what happens during fasting. Bad cells don't adapt. Say that. You'll remember it if you say it. Bad cells don't adapt, meaning they can't make the shift into fat burning and using ketones. They die. It's called autophagy. Or I like to say the cool way of saying is autophagy. But autophagy, so you can actually remember it, meaning bad cells go away. They die. And what happens is your body upregulates stem cells. Those are the cells that become better, stronger cells. So we even make more immune cells. And that's one of the reasons why they're saying fasting works so well for cancer. It also starves out bad cells, cancer cells. So 2 reasons why. So you make stem cells. Someone just sent me in the last couple weeks a study where they were fasting people 5 days a month. And what happened, they were looking at diabetics. Their beta cells in the pancreas that makes insulin actually regenerated. That's the amazing thing about fasting, right? And if you Google bbc.com and put in fasting, you'll find that study. It was just out. So anyways, those are the benefits of fasting. That's why you should fast. The keys about fasting, it's supervised if you have health conditions. Otherwise, healthy people, if you start out on a 4-day fast, you'll probably end up doing longer because it is that easy.
How do you break a fast?
How do you break a fast? Thank you. How do you break a fast? Okay, you want to break a fast very slowly. You want to eat very soft foods. Maybe some berries, maybe some steamed vegetables, maybe some blended vegetables, maybe a little bit of soft avocado, so softer foods. No meat, no heavy foods. A little bit of coconut oil, olive oil, that's fine, but a little bit at a time. So eat little bits because your stomach is just rested. So small amounts, soft foods, very basic foods, okay? Nothing big and heavy. And ease into your fast. So if you did a 4-day fast, I would hold off for 2 days, even adding meat back in. Eggs would be an easier introduction. In the videos that I did on Cellular Healing TV, I talked about how to break fast, and the guys that I interviewed talked about how to break fast as well. I've interviewed one of the world's leading experts, Dr. Fung. That was a video that I did, who's fasting people up in the University of Toronto with multiple different health conditions like diabetes and many others. He's a kidney specialist. So, any other questions? Did we get any other questions?
I don't believe so. They should ask now if they have any questions.
Yeah, well, I'm doing this late at night because my day was so busy, so I probably don't have as many people on live as I will recording. But listen, share while he looks. Share this video. I've had multiple questions about fasting. Many people are really into fasting. Everyone wants to know more about it. So whether it's for weight loss, autoimmune, those conditions that I mentioned, hormone dysregulation, another thing that happens magic in fasting is the cells become very sensitive to the hormones.
Someone asked a question about fasting and exercise, which I think is a good point.
Yeah, that's a great question, a really good point. During an extended fast, you do not want to exercise. So I keep telling Simon, just relax, lay around. This is the time to use your energy for healing. You don't want to use your energy for having to produce energy for exercise. You're wasting
cards.
Your energy. Yeah, it's funny, right? So we played Monopoly last night, because I could tell he was getting a little bored. But it was such an exciting game. It was just him and myself and Simon that he got like all geared up. And I said, you know what? That was probably not smart, because in fasting clinics, they never allow people to play cards or games because you get your cortisol up and that raises glucose. Oh, that's not going to affect me. That's what he said. And he went and tested his glucose. What did I say his glucose was? It was like 81 or
91.
something. No, it was 81,
okay.
I think. Yeah, either way, his glucose went up. But woke up this morning, it was already back down. And he slept like a baby. So, but point being, cortisol up, not a good idea. Glucose up, and then when glucose goes up, your ketones go down. Remember, we want ketones. Now, I said this in the other video. Ketones heal the brain. Ketones turn off bad genes. Ketones downregulate inflammation. Not to mention the other benefits of fasting. Increase in stem cells. Bad cells die. All these benefits of fasting. Look, that's why it works for autoimmune. That's why it works for cancer. That's why it works for hormone conditions. You name it.
What about a juice fast?
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan because it raises glucose. We want the benefits of ketones. You drink juice and glucose is up. Ketones, you're not getting the benefit of the ketones. And by the way, when glucose is up, you don't get the benefit of ketones even when you have elevated ketones. So not a fan of juice fasting. Swear Gold is as fasty as I get. That's about, if you drink 4 of these Swear Golds a day, that's about 40 grams of sugar in the form of lactose, which actually is used up into the cell. That's about as hard as I go. Bone broth, you would get no glucose. Really not much calorie intake at all there. So, good question.
Autism?
Well, look, anything that heals the brain. Autism is a brain disorder and a gut disorder. I read you one study showing how fasting fixes the gut, but it also fixes the brain along with the ketones. So very, very strategic, and one of our ancient healing strategies that we use for all brain conditions.
So for the average healthy person that's just looking to enrich their life.
It's me.
So how often would you do a fast?
Look, I think even just one a year, studies show just does remarkable things for your longevity. I do this for anti-aging. Tomorrow I'm going to talk more about how to do this daily. And I said, as far as me, the thing that got me healthy was a true cellular detox, no doubt, doing multiple brain phases. But as far as once I got healthy, fasting has transformed my life more than anything in natural health. So block fasting, I'm going to do one this spring. That's when the Hanzu people actually block fasted. And by the way, they called it Starvation Spring. It became part of their culture. And the Indians, the American Indians fasted. Spring was a known time to fast because their food supply had run out and they were in transition of the next food supply. I believe fasting is a must. You've heard me talk about feast and famine cycles. Times without food reset our DNA, turn off bad genes. Very, very, very important. We can turn on genes that we have a susceptibility, autoimmune, obesity, weight gain, you name it. Times of fasting turn them off. But I believe we need times of feasting as well to remind our body that it's not starving and to remind our body that everything's A-okay. So feast and famine cycles is a strategy we use for very sick people, but it also benefits us just wanting to be healthier. The change, the adaptation, whether it's hot, cold, changes in diet, that's the magic. And go back, if you haven't seen my video on diet variation a couple weeks ago, I did it from my kitchen, you'll get that more. It's not the paleo diet, the vegan diet, the vegetarian diet. Which diet's best? No, you're missing it. It's the change in diets. The Hanzu people were like vegetarians in the summer, but in the winter they were in ketosis, raising ketones, turning off bad genes, resetting their DNA, benefiting from this anti-inflammatory diet. And then when the sun came out, different foods, they ate and enjoyed those foods. Variation is the key. Adaptation does amazing things with hormone sensitivity, to our DNA. Understand it. I'm going to keep telling it to you.
So fasting once a year at the minimum. Really,
Yeah, I
for
would
a
say
healthy
once a
person.
year.
But then what about for someone that really just wants to optimize their hormones and really stay on top of it?
Well, you know,
what's the
we
most?
have people fast once a quarter, every other month. I even just like that other study I quoted, I even have people fast once a month.
And what do you think is the best?
It depends on the person, honestly. It really does depend on the person.
Can you use chicken or turkey for bone broth?
Yeah, you can use chicken. You can use beef stock. I think beef stock is the best, to be quite honest with you. I think they all have some different characteristics, and I think it's okay to mix it up a little bit because you do get darn sick of just one flavor. So you can have a little beef stock, a little chicken stock, and I think that's fine.
So people with mitochondrial...
100% grass-fed bones, very, very, very important.
People with mitochondrial dysfunction, obviously, people want to know if would that help that condition? I mean, killing off the bad cells.
Of course, because see, mitochondria, when you're fat adapted, remember bad cells don't adapt. Let's be more specific. Every cell has mitochondria. Bad mitochondria do not adapt. And the mitochondria is where you make energy. Brain fog, lack of energy, even sleep, that's bad mitochondria. Having to eat 5-6 meals a day because you get dizzy, irritable, that's bad mitochondria. You know, so all of those things, this is an epidemic. People are not, remember, your cells can only use sugar or fat, okay? And most Americans are locked in just using sugar. When you're not able to use sugar, it's either burning muscle or giving you cravings. We want to get your mitochondria fat adapted using ketones and fat. Burns cleaner too, by the way. That's another reason to do it, because it doesn't create as much oxidative stress and inflammation. But once we get your cells using fat, now when you're not eating, you don't eat your muscle. You're actually feeding from your fat.
So even if someone intermittent fasts every day, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, they get way more benefits from the long fast than even just intermittent fasting.
Yeah, but long fast, you're going into more autophagy, right? Autophagy, so meaning that all your cells are dying even more. You're forcing even harder adaptation, which is going to be much more difficult for cells to make the adaptation, yes. And you get a lot of hormone sensitivity. You push the ketones very high. You know, look, animals fast instinctively. If they're hurt, sick, injured, they fast instinctively. We people, we have to be taught. That's why it has been taught in every religious group on the planet. All through history, fasting has been taught. So like and share this. You know, keep sending these things out. I mean, I'm here at the end of my night. I had probably 10 clients today. Very busy day for me today. And I still said, man, I promised to get this video, and I will. So please do me a favor and like and share it, because the information here, people need it. Most people watching this are sugar burners with damaged mitochondria, and many of the health conditions, even the ones that think they're healthy, have these problems that we're talking about. Fasting, now tomorrow we're going to talk about daily fasting that every one of you need to do. And we'll remind you of some of these things on how to do it, how to know how long to go. We're going to talk more about that and even the benefits of it. Are we good?
We're good.